Good morning, students. Today we have to discuss about the Bryophyta of the plant kingdom. In previous classes we have discussed Halophyta, and this group is the Bryophyta, then the Pteridophyta, and these three are non-seeded, and Gymnosperm and Angiosperm are seeded plant. So today we will have to discuss the Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. So firstly we will have to start Bryophyta. Bryophyta. It is non-vascular, means xylem and phloem absent. It is non-vascular. It is non-seeded, just we have told you. It is also non-vascular. And it is amphibious. Amphibious means can leads their life on land but have need of external water for the purpose of the process of fertilization. It means its male gamete swim over the external water to get the female gamete. Male gamete come in contact with the female gamete with the help of external water, and this is the definition of the amphibious. Just like in the case of the frog, you will see that the frog can lead their life on land also, but have need of the water for the purpose of fertilization. It is very short plant. Their height is about 1 to 3 centimeter, and it has been observed Dorsonia is the tallest bryophyte, Bryophyta, about 50 centimeter long, and the shortest Bryophyta is the Juacis, shortest, and its height is about 0.5 centimeter. 0.5 centimeter. It can be studied under two subheading. One is called moss and another is called liverworts. The liverworts are primitive bryophyte. They includes Riccia and Markentia, whereas the Funariya is under the moss. It has been observed that just we have discussed about the Riccia, Markentia and Funariya, their structure and their reproduction. But before that, we will have to discuss about the Riccia and Markentia. The Riccia It is dicotyledonous, like this. Dicotyledonous. What do you mean by this particular dicotyledonous? Means always two. And if you see the structure of this one, the dorsal and ventral part, then we can say that in the case of Markensia, having some gamma cup in the dorsal parts. In Riccia it is not present, but in the case of Markensia it has gamma cup, and that gamma cup helpful in the asexual mode of reproduction. Now we will discuss their life cycle and their deep structure with the help of the certain figure. Now it is the time to discuss the structure and life cycle of the Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. This is the structure of the Riccia. Here you will see that their structure is dichotomous, like here one divided into two, and again this will divide into two. So this is called dichotomous structure, and this it is just attached with the substratum because it is a Trichophyta. It has now neither xylem nor phloem. So conducting tissues are completely absent in this case. Now this is the life cycle of the Riccia. Here we will see that this is the adult Riccia having both that is the rhizome like structures, unicellular rhizome like structure. It is not it functions to adhere that particular plant with the substratum, but it is not actually root but functions like a root, having two parts, one that is called male part, another that is called female part. The male part is called Antheridia and female is part called Archegonia. This Archegonia have a neck and a venter. This venter have egg, and this neck are made up of the 6 long cells. In the center of that particular neck, 6 cells are present. After maturation they may make a dissolve to form the whole, and they release the viscous liquid, and that water is also responsible for the opening of the neck region, and they release a special type of the chemical that is called chemoattractant, and the male gamete which is released by the Antheridia will be attracted towards the chemoattractant, and that is called chemotaxic movement. Now what happens, it will insert inside it and form the zygote. Now it is the 2-end conditioned, and this 2-end conditioned zygote now divide into firstly 2-celled, then to the 4-celled, and a jacketed structure is formed. And now you will see here that the 2N spore mother cell divide into N spore by the process of meiosis, and this N spore ultimately convert into the gametophytic plant. So here you see that the gametophyte convert into sporophyte, and a sporophyte convert into gametophyte, and this is called alternation of generation. And as well as you can observe that the gametophyte is only produce food, so the sporophytes is totally here depend upon the gametophytes. Now in this case you will observe that diagrammatic structure, graphical structure of the life cycle of the Riccia. Here you will see that the Antheridia and Archegonia are formed on the gametophyte. Both sperm and egg are formed, and after fertilization they form zygote. The formation of the zygote will be the starting of the sporophytic conditions, and now this zygote firstly divided into 2 cell stage, then 4 cell stage, then multicellular stage, and the young sporangium is being formed. This young sporangium is still diploid, but in matured sporangium, spore mother cell divide meiotically to form the meiospore, and this meiospore again continue the gametophytic stage. In addition of this particular gametophytic and sporophytic, Markens Riccia also divided into 1 to 2 to more. It means the reproduce by the fragmentation by the tubers and the adventitious branchings also. Now it is the case of the study the Funariya. It is also the example of the Bryophyta, but it is somewhat more developed rather than that of the Riccia. Here we will see that the plant like structure is being observed by this particular Funariya. Of course, a rhizome is present, root like but not root. Leaf like structures are present but not leaf. And this plant is dioecious, means both male and female parts are present on the same plant. Now you will see that the in male, that is called Antheridia, and the female, that is called Archegonia, matured to form egg and a sperm. Sperm is on Antheridia, and or the male gamete on Antheridia and the female gamete on the Archegonia. Now the same process will like that of the Riccia. What happens? The water is essential for the transportation of the male gamete to the female gamete, and here you will observe that the male gamete is just insert inside the neck of the female gamete, neck of the Archegonia, and there in the venter they fertilize the egg cell to form the zygote. That zygote divide, and there they form a elongated structure in female Archegonia and having a foot, CT and capsule. That capsule is still diploid, but inside capsule what happens? The spore is formed, and that is called meiospore. Capsule is very much complex structure. They has to spread the spore, and spore germinate to form the this young plant like structures. Here in case of the diagrammatic structure or the this particular topographic structure, you will observe here that the leafy gametophytes produce Archegonia and Antheridia. This Archegonia and Antheridia produce oospore and anthrozoids. Oospore is non-motile, anthrozoids is motile. So it is the case of oogamous, and by syngamy they will produce a zygote, and the zygote is the starting of this particular sporophytes, and here you will see that that zygote ultimately divide into form a CT, a capsule like structures, and that capsule form a spore mother cell. In capsule, spore mother cell divide meiotically to form the spores. Here also just you will see that this sporophytes is completely depend upon the female part of the gametophyte. In addition to that, Funariya also divide by the gamma like structure, by the secondary pronema, by the bulbils, etc. are also helpful in the reproduction of the Funariya. Now in Pteridophyta, we have seen that it is non-seeded but vascular. Just in the Bryophyta, that is non-seeded, non-vascular. And in the Thallophyta, that is aquatic, they have no support to erect stem. In the case of bryophytes, we can say that it is also very small, adhere with the substratum because they have no vascular tissues, and they cannot conduct the food prepared by the leaf or leaf-like green structures. They have no phloem, and the xylem is also absent. But here we can say that there is a such type of substances. Of course, in the case of Thallophyta, in the case of Bryophyta, we will observe in the reproduction there is alternation of generation. The sporophytes and gametophytes. And generally it has been observed that in bryophytes, the gametophytes are dependent upon the sporophytes. It means the sporophytes prepare their food. But in the case of pteridophyte, we will see that the both sporophytes and gametophytes are independent. It means both have capacity to prepare the food. Both can prepare the food. Just we can study with the help of a typical example, that is Fern. It has been observed that the stem, just like in the case of Bryophyta, the plants are thallus-like. Their root, their stem, their leaves are not distinct. Of course, in certain cases it looks like the leaf, but actually that is not leaf. In the case of Pteridophyta, it is not thallus-like, but it has underground stem, and leaves are always on the land, but the stem are so that is called rhizome. It has been observed that inside the stem there is certain roots, and they have stem, and suppose this one is the soil layer. This one is the soil layer. Soil layer. The roots are always adventitious. Adventitious roots are present, and this stem is called rhizome. Now it has been observed that from node, this type of structure that is called sarcinate taxis. Leaves are always come like this, sarcinate taxis, and it has brown colored hair-like structures that is called ramenta. This ramenta is the protective part of this particular leaf, as well as they are responsible for the keeping certain water inside it. But whenever it becomes straight, then you can see that the leaves are here. Like this. It is compound leaf. And this is the leaflets. It's compound leaf, and that is the leaflets. Just we will discuss it with the help of the figure also. But if you observe that this is the sporophytic part of the pteridophyte fern, what happens? It has been observed when the leaf is matured. Suppose this one is the leaflet, and this one is the dorsal part of the leaflet during breeding season or during maturation, when they will have to reproduce during particular season. It has been observed that certain spot-like structure, brownish spot-like structure is present here. That is, certain brownish spot-like structure is present, and it has sporangium, and this is called sori. sporangium and this is called sori. This sporangium is like this. Release spore, and this spore is haploid. This spore is haploid. So what happens when it germinates? They form a heart-like green structure. It is called prothallus, and it is the gametophytic part of the Pteridophyta, where both male and female part is present. It is dioecious in nature, and after maturation they release male and female gametes, and ultimately after when the zygote is formed, then it grows to the new plant. These all things we will discuss it with the help of the proper figure. Now this is the pteridophytic example fern. You will see here it is a well developed structure figure of the fern. Having this, it is the figure of the leaf of the fern, and you will see here that the leaf is not simple but a complex compound leaf having leaflets. Each and every leaflets you can see the brown spot like structure, and that is called sori. It is actually the spores are formed in it. Here in the case of life cycle you can observe that the plant body is not thallus like bryophytes. Here it is the tracheophyte, and the plant is divided into root, shoot and leaf. Here you will see that the roots are adventitious and the stem are rhizome like. The young leaf is folded sarcinate like, and which is covered by the ramenta, and on the leaf you can observe that the spot like structures, brown spot like structure is called sori, and that sori is formed in the each and every reproductive season, and that is the actually site of the spore formation. Now inside this sporangium meiosis will take place. This rhizome, this young leaf, this particular root, this particular compound leaf, all are diploid. But inside the sporangium, the spore mother cell divide meiotically to form the haploid spore, and that haploid spore ultimately, by getting a suitable condition, form a green colored heart shaped prothallus. It means this is the gametophytic stage, this one is the sporophytic stage, and it is also depend on itself because they are in condition to prepare their food, and this is the gametophytic. It is also so gametophytic and sporophytic, of course alternation of generation will be here, but not depend upon each other. They are not depend upon one another, they are independent for the purpose of the food preparation. Here we will see that in this particular prothallus, male and female, that is Antheridia and Archegonia, both are formed. Here also in Archegonium neck like structure, the Antheridium have spore like structure, sperm like structure, that is motile structure is formed, and with the help of the water that particular sperm like male structure insert inside the neck of the Archegonia, and there the fertilization of takes place. It is also the example of the chemotaxic. It means this Archegonia is responsible to produce the chemical which attract this particular. Now after this particular insertion of the sperm inside the Archegonial neck, the egg is fertilized to form the zygote. Now This zygote again form a prothallus like structure, but it is diploid prothallus and they are converted into a complete diploid plant. In this way you can say that the alternation of generation is also here also seen, but the sporophytes and the gametophytes are on the basis of, we can say that the production basis, both are independent, both can prepare their food. Now it is the case of it is the topographical representation of the life cycle of the fern. Here it is very much clear that the sporophytes are diploid and gametophytes are haploid. Here you will see that the sporophytes, the plant like structure, sori are present on the leaf, and sporangium is responsible to form a spore. That sporangium is present inside sori, and sori is the cluster of sporangium, and the meiospore is formed, and that meiospore is responsible for the production of the gametic prothallus, and that gametic prothallus have archegonia and theridia, and one is the male and the female organ, and they are responsible for the production of the gametes. And after that, here it is also amphibians of the plant kingdom, because this product of the antheridium swim and insert inside the archegonia. It is also the chemotaxic movement.